Just before we dive into the video, I want to let you guys know we have an awesome giveaway running right now with the guys over at Gamerchic for everything you see on screen. If you want to get involved, be sure to click that link in the description box down below. And if you want to save some money on buying Iceborne in the UK, then you can go over to their website and use the code Arekkz Gaming, which makes it one of the cheapest places to buy right now. Hey, what's going on guys? Arekkz here, welcome back to another video for Borderlands 3, and we're back with another build, another one for Amara this time, and this is another take on a melee build. This is an improvement. If you guys saw the melee build the other day, then you will know that it allows you to run up in the enemy's faces, punch them, do a ton of damage, kind of destroy groups of enemies. It's really, really good, really effective, and really kind of embodies what Amara is all about. She's the Siren class and also the Brawler class, so it really is kind of like how she should be played. I mean, yeah, you can use her in kind of conventional Siren fashion and kind of use those sort of mystic abilities, but let's be honest, we want to run up and punch things in the face. And if you've used the build that we uploaded the other day, that's great. However, there is a way to make it even better. This one is a refined version, and when paired with a couple of very particular gear pieces, namely a weapon and a shield, this thing is insane. You can, to a degree, almost one-shot a lot of enemies. You can kind of just go through and destroy anything that stands in your way. I mean, just look at this madness. So if we turn our attention to the trees, I'm going to quickly go through this. This is quite similar to the build we had the other day, so I'm going to kind of try and skim through this as quickly as possible. The main changes down the brawl tree is that we've instead opted for 5 points into clarity, which increases our health regeneration when at low HP, since this build really shines when your shield is broken, so you're going to want to be as tanky as possible in order to survive, especially on Mayhem 3. And of course, using your action skill doubles the effectiveness of this skill, bringing your HP regen up to around 10% per second for 5 seconds, which is normally enough to out-heal most damage. But quickly going through this, of course, we have Phase Slam. This is your melee ability where you leap into the sky and you slam down to the ground. Really, really cool ability. Then down the first line, we have 4 points in Route to Rise, where Amara gains increased max health. We have 3 points in Personal Space with an additional 2 from the class mod, where Amara's weapon shots deal bonus damage based on the distance to a target. The closer the target, the greater the bonus. And we also max out Clarity, where again, Amara constantly regenerates health. The lower her health, the more powerful the regeneration. And of course, after an action skill, as just mentioned, this is doubled. We then have Samsara, where whenever Amara deals damage to an enemy with her action skill, she adds a stack of Samsara, and for each of these stacks, you gain increased gun damage and health regeneration for a few seconds. Plus, we max out Helping Hands, where for a few seconds after using your action skill, Amara's arms remain active for damage reduction. Pretty good for the tanky side of the build. In the middle, we then have maxed out Find Your Center. Actually 2 points in this thanks to the class mod, which is really, really good. Amara gains increased melee damage, which is going to be very, very important. I mean, this is a melee build, but as you'll see in a minute when we start looking at the gear, this is incredibly, incredibly important. Additionally, for a few seconds after your action skill usage, you gain increased melee range, but this already gives you that flat 200% melee damage, which is already starting to get to a nutty bonus. Additionally, maxing out Mindfulness means that whenever Amara takes damage, she gains a stack of Mindfulness, and for every one of these stacks, she gains improved shield regeneration delay and movement speed. You then want one with Nature, where Amara gains increased max health and elemental damage resistance to her action skill element. Again, important for that tankiness, allowing you to stay up in the enemy's faces. We then want to max out Jab Cross, where whenever you deal melee damage to an enemy, you gain increased action skill damage and increased gun damage for a few seconds. Very, very important. Do Unto Others maxed out. Whenever an enemy damages Amara, she automatically throws an enemy orb back at them, dealing action skill elemental damage. And also Guardian Angel, we've seen this one before. Whenever Amara enters the Fight for Your Life status, she immediately gains a second wind, restores her health, and creates an action skill Elemental Nova that can knock back nearby enemies. And of course, you want to grab the last skill in this tree, your capstone skill, Blitz, which is your melee override, where pressing V or whatever your melee button is, whilst aiming at an enemy, makes Amara dash a short distance towards them, performing a special melee strike, dealing elemental damage. And if a Blitz melee attack kills an enemy, Blitz's cooldown is immediately reset. Now, on the Fist of the Elements tree, the slight change here is that we've instead gone for Infusion over Anima, because this allows us to deal as much damage as possible per shot, as it converts 40% of your weapon damage to your action skill element. This, of course, pairs nicely with Illuminated Fist, which together with your action skill elements allows you to spec your elemental damage appropriately should you be taking on, like, armored or resistant to shock enemies. So quickly going through this, of course, 5 points in Infusion. Next line down, we of course have Illuminated Fist. Amara gains increased melee damage, and her melee damage is converted to action skill element. And you also have Tempest, where Amara deals increased elemental damage, and shock damage is further increased. You do, once all of this is done, technically speaking, have those 4 spare points, which is why, going back to the Brawl tree, we put them in Route for Rise, because again, we want that max HP. But now if we turn our attention to the gear, there are two very, very important components in this setup. The first of which is the redundant face puncher, a legendary shotgun, and this shotgun is incredibly interesting. You'd be forgiven for maybe picking this up and kind of overlooking it at first because the red text description, the legendary description, doesn't really say much. It just says man your own jackhammer. So what does that mean? Well, after some testing, it transpires this gun actually deals damage as melee damage. In other words, each pellet of the shotgun is melee damage. So you can start to see where this is going. We're now in a build which is very melee centric, allows you to get a massive melee bonus, and every single shot from this gun is actually melee damage. So what you're effectively doing, hence the name Face Puncher, is with every pull of the trigger, you are punching enemies with shotgun bullets. This in itself gives you a flat 60% melee damage bonus, which is crazy, but when you actually see this in action, it's kind of one of those things that you might, again, depending on the class you have, you might not even realize this is happening, because if you're just firing it and, you're kind of just doing some damage, you'll be thinking, fair enough. But when you see this in Amara's hands and you realize that she's got a hugely stacked melee build, and you're then firing these shots which are melee damage, then you begin to realize just how potent this is. So this gun, even though you're shooting, you're basically punching people with shotgun pellets. So this is, without question, integral to this build. There is also the really nice class mod, as we saw before, also giving us increase to a few key skills here. But if we then turn our attention to the shield, Brawler Ward, this is also very important, because with this one, when your shield is depleted, it increases your melee damage by an extra 300%, as well as weapon damage by 25%, and regenerates 4% max HP per second, which adds to the overall survivability. So as we kind of spoke about before, we sort of want to be in a state with this build where our shield is normally pretty low, but our health is pretty high, so you can then kind of have that tanky thing, you can sort of still stay alive, but then your melee damage is stacked and pushed as high as possible, so you can then feed that back into the face puncher and shoot people with melee shots. The grenade is pretty much up to you, that's not really integral to this build. The artifact, admittedly in this situation, could do with some optimizing. Currently it's adding 80% melee damage, which is a nice buff, but there are also things like lifesteal on melee and ammo on melee artifacts, which which we haven't yet had a chance to try. So this one probably could be improved, but basically the crux of it is use those skills, get the face puncher, get that shield, and just run around, punch things, shoot things, and just see how fast they die. It is honestly a sight to behold. This is Melee 2.0, right? This is how you should be using Amara. This is how you can be a badass, run up and literally just punch things in the face. So give it a try. Let us know in the comments down below what you guys think. Hopefully you enjoyed this. And of course, keep it locked. We've got plenty more videos coming your way, more build guides. We've got a build guide coming from Mose and Zane, some new ones, so stick around for those. And of course, we've got plenty more on the way. I really hope you guys enjoyed that video. Remember to hit that subscribe button and also click on the little bell icon to turn on notifications so you don't miss my next upload. Also, don't forget, you can check out 269 and Paradise Central streaming over on Twitch 6 days a week. You can find a link to the multi-stream in the description box down below. Be sure to drop by and get involved. Thanks again for watching. Take it easy. Catch you next time. Peace out.